urban legends have long haunted the dark corners of human imagination, passed down through whispered tales meant to thrill, terrify, and warn. Some of these stories are born from the shadows of our deepest fears, and tonight we explore one such legend from the streets of China. This is the story of Littlefinger, a chilling tale that has terrified generations. Gather round and listen carefully, for once you hear her story, you might never look at your own hands the same way again. The legend of Littlefinger originates in a small town outside of Beijing. Decades ago, a young girl named Mei Ling lived with her parents in an old, run-down apartment. Mei Ling was a quiet child, often overlooked by her parents, who were consumed by their work and struggles. Her father was a factory worker, and her mother spent long hours sewing clothes for a local garment shop. They had little time for Mei Ling, who wandered the hallways of their bleak apartment complex alone, clutching an old doll she had inherited from her grandmother. But Mei Ling was different. Born with a deformity, her left hand only had 4 fingers. Her little finger was missing. This made her the target of cruel teasing from the local children, who called her names and played mean-spirited tricks on her. She became the subject of their twisted games, which often ended with her in tears. The children's torment reached its peak one particularly harsh winter evening. They cornered her in the apartment's basement, a dark, dingy place where the lights flickered and the cold crept into the bones. They taunted her about her missing finger, saying she wasn't whole, calling her a monster. One of the boys, fueled by the laughter of his friends, grabbed a rusted pair of scissors and threatened to fix her hand. In the chaos that followed, something went terribly wrong. The boy tripped, slashing Mei Ling across her palm. Bleeding and in shock, Mei Ling fled into the night, running from the basement to the nearby forest. Her parents didn't find her until the next morning, her tiny body frozen near the edge of the woods, her hands still bleeding from the cut. They buried her quietly, the townspeople whispering of the tragedy, but never speaking the full truth of what had happened. Soon after her death, strange occurrences began to plague the children who had bullied Mei Ling. One by one, they disappeared without a trace. But before each child vanished, they would tell their parents about a figure they had seen in their dreams. A small girl with long, dark hair, her hand outstretched, pointing at them with a bloody little finger. The legend of Littlefinger grew as more and more children in the town began reporting the same haunting dreams. It wasn't long before the whispers spread. Mei Ling had returned from the grave, seeking revenge for the torment she endured in life. As the story goes, if you find yourself walking alone at night, especially near places where children once played, you may encounter her. She appears as a small, pale figure with hollow eyes, wearing a tattered dress and dragging one leg as she approaches. At first, you might think she's just a lost child, but if you look closely, you'll notice her hand, her left hand, has 5 fingers, and the little finger is fresh, still bloody, and pointing directly at you. If she points at you, you're marked. From that moment on, you will begin to hear soft giggling wherever you go, and in the dead of night, you will wake up to the sound of small footsteps coming closer and closer. No matter how much you try to escape, once she has pointed at you, there is no running. The legend says that she will visit you again, but this time, she won't disappear. She will stand at the foot of your bed, her eyes wide with anger, her hands slowly reaching toward you. And when she touches you with that cursed little finger, you vanish, just like the children who tormented her. Witnesses claim that after a person is taken, all that remains is a single bloody fingerprint left on the nearest wall, a reminder of Mei Ling's wrath. Though police have tried to explain these disappearances as kidnappings or runaways, those who know the legend believe otherwise. They say Mei Ling's spirit is still out there, wandering, searching for more victims to point her finger at. Over the years, people have added rules to avoid her curse. Never play in the dark. Never mock someone for what they cannot control. And if you ever see a small girl in the shadows, whatever you do, don't let her point her finger at you. Some even say that her spirit doesn't just haunt the small town where she died anymore. She roams farther now, slipping between cities, looking for anyone who dares to disrespect the dead, anyone who has bullied or hurt another. The tale of Little Finger is one that lingers in the minds of those who hear it. It's a story of vengeance, a story of a child's pain transforming into something far more terrifying. Whether you believe in the legend or not, it's a reminder of the cruelty that humans are capable of and the haunting consequences that can follow. So next time you find yourself alone at night and you hear the soft sound of footsteps behind you, think twice before turning around, because it might just be her hand outstretched, and her little finger pointing at you. Sleep well, if you can.